But 5 years on from what became known as the Me Too movement, there's a growing backlash. Some influential people argue it's become divisive, pitting the sexes against each other with an assumption of male guilt, leaving many young men feeling marginalised. Recently, interviewed two people at the forefront of that backlash, albeit with very different styles and rationales. He's psychologist Dr. Jordan Peterson.
People have been after me for a long time because I've been speaking to disaffected young men. You know, what a terrible thing to do that is.
Jordan Peterson, for example, the whole interview has been viewed 5.5 million times on our YouTube channels, rightly or wrongly. There's clearly a huge groundswell of interest, at the very least, in their views, if not support. So was Me Too an overdue reckoning, or has it become a damaging battle in a raging culture war? Isabel still with me, plus political journalist Ava Santino, conservative commentator, a young man.
Facts, Ninja. I need a pair of those myself.
Connor Thomason. Connor.
What happened was you agree with Jordan Peterson, he went, and Andrew Tate went,
whoa!
Well, you just slipped that bitch in there. I was like, what's that? What's that?
You cheeky little bastard. You.
I believe that women deserve equal rights, absolutely. But I prefer to chain them to the cellar. What? Huh? Got me nodding to the wrong thing with the camera on my face.
So if any man now behaves in a way that looks like it's toxic masculinity, bang, they're expunged. Is in that process masculinity itself getting expunged and demonized?
I would say so. I mean, I'm sure that you'll have this experience with your own relationships, Piers, in that women, if you say something controversial...
If you say something controversial...
That's what I was about to say. This guy's name is Connor Tomlinson. He looks and sounds like Connor Tomlinson.
My youngest son, Hephaestus, makes an effort to enjoy the delicacies of the noble life, and there's something to be said about the
talking about Piers Morgan.
And I, as boys and grown men in this infant society, have had to endure the peasantry. I'm not gonna lie, even just talking like that, I feel like my bank account gets more money. Yeah,
that's why I talk like that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, you do?
Well, you know what? Not exactly like him, but you know, just that.
No.
It's just different. I know it is.
No, he speaks like he owns the ends. You sound like you're trying to escape the ends.
Yeah, well, you know what? You have to do what you got to do, mate.
There's a serious point here. A lot of young men feel they're getting disenfranchised by society. They're all being over-demonized, that any attempt to be the traditional male figure is now being rubbished and called toxic.
Well, I mean, if you really felt that and you really went out there and you were an alpha male, then you wouldn't be bothered about a bunch of women telling you that you were...
Well, you would if you get cancelled, like Andrew Tate, if you get banned from...
I mean, he's hardly been cancelled. He was on your programme, which is on national television.
But it's the only platform, actually, he's had for a long time, because all the social media companies banned him, literally banned him. He had his email gone, his Google gone, his Facebook gone. It all went down like dominoes.
Well, he's still on there, very, very prolific on there. I can't move for clips of him.
Yeah, but they're not generated by him now.
Well, but that's been for quite some time.
But should he be punished that way?
But what is punished? What is punished?
When you can't talk, when you don't have a place to talk, you're being excommunicated from the social media. You cannot, and the only way that you're going to be able to say your piece whenever people attack you and be able to defend yourself, just merely defending yourself. If I take all your social medias, right, and I cannot defend myself on things that I've put out there, and people are just judging and often saying and amplifying what I've said, I can't even go after that. I can't even defend myself. So that's the punishment.
Hold on. I don't understand these people. No. You had people celebrating when he got banned. What do you think they were celebrating? Him being punished.
That's a punishment. If you don't.
Why do you think he's saying, "Yo, this has cost me money. This has definitely hampered me. And I'm recognizing the way with my messaging."
That's la mauvaise foi.
It's because he's been punished.
That's la mauvaise foi.
Whether you think it's fair or not is irrelevant. She's debating whether or not he's been punished. This is the goofy talk. Yeah, you want to say cancellation's not real because people still have ways to make money. The way that people use cancellation nowadays is not to mean like you're deleted forever. It's to say that you suffer tremendous social and financial harm as a result of some kind of online campaign by people. So you're just being you're being uncharitable.
Piers is a really good debater.
Disingenuous when you say he's been punished. How? He's losing millions.
It's his show, and he definitely does talk over people, and sometimes he'll like almost like railroad people with like certain topics or whatever the case is. But his whole point is to win, to get his point across, to be the winning side of it. He never brings anybody on to convince him of something other than what he already came on believing, or what he already came on with his goal in mind. So he definitely
it is good to have differing opinions. I agree. But as far as like what my man Jet was saying, he definitely does do that, but that's the goal. That's and he's really, really good at it, which is why when I watched a little bit of the clip with him and Andrew Tate was lost. And it's not so much that Andrew Tate didn't have, like, there was moments where I thought Andrew Tate could have made the better point. However, because Andrew Tate let him continue to railroad him and he didn't get the, you know, he allowed him to actually win some of these arguments because of that, or it appeared as if he was winning them.
Millions and millions of dollars from not having access to any of his social medias, or for him being technically shadow banned in a lot of these conversations. If you will notice, a lot of Andrew Tate clips don't surface nearly as much now as they did before, because these social media companies are actively trying to suppress anything with those state titles. So you being a bit of a liar, but let's carry on.
Punish is where companies take a decision which, in my view, in this case, was perverse, because they still allow, for example, the Ayatollah of Iran to have a Twitter account.
Yes.
So there's no consistency here at all.
Well, but however, we love a bit of free market. I'm sure you do, judging by that suit, which is lovely.
Okay. So we're gonna be petty.
But you know, social media companies are private companies.
Can you not
they can do
objectify
whatever
them,
they can do
I'll
whatever
take all the
they like.
objectification I like.
Of course you will, yeah. All right, Isabel.
But Ava, your point about, you know, if men were that alpha, then they would.
To be fair, if I was him, or to be fair, if I would probably be the same way. When I'm talking with someone or having a debate about something, and the first few things they say, or the first thing they say is something that I'm like, oh, whoa, and then they continue to talk, I'm like, nah, I'm chiming in now because you just started with some shit that I have to say something to. But that it's just the way that it is. Yeah, I get it. I mean, like I said, again, his goal when he brings people on here is to push the narrative that he brought you on there for. He didn't bring Andrew Tate on there for Andrew Tate to convince him that Andrew Tate is right in all these things that he says. He brought Andrew Tate on there to prove to Andrew Tate that Andrew Tate is not right about these things. And so he's going to go about it in the best way possible to get that goal accomplished. And a lot of times it just happens to be that, like, when you kind of debate and go about it like that, and little talking over a little bit of this and that, it can definitely it could definitely mess with the other person. Like, I feel like Andrew Tate just kind of got to the point where he was arguing points that he didn't even really care as much about because of the way that Pierce went about it, which in my opinion is actually a good strategy. It's in essence, it is a debate strategy.
Wouldn't be that bothered by this.
Yeah, the
Doesn't
Kanye one
really
was
help
funny.
us when it comes to boys growing up, and that is one of my worries. That for teenage boys now, they are so terrified of the consequences of putting a foot out of line. It's hard enough being a young teenager, working out how things are, working out how to do dating and all of that, without the terror that if you touch in the wrong place at the wrong time, you may find that your whole life is destroyed.
See, I
and there
like
is
that
far
terror.
too much.
Well, what a freeze frame. I love it. Okay. I agree with this older woman, because the way that she said it is how you have to understand the context of what she said specifically. Because she said they touched somebody in the wrong place at the wrong time. So what she's saying is something almost like, oh, I'm in a line and things get pushed or whatever, and I brush against you or something, and you're like, yo, you know, you touched me on purpose. And then it becomes this big thing, and you can get in a lot of trouble. You could be canceled. You could lose your job, because then everyone's going to be like, oh, you're one of those people. And it's like, no. That's not what happened. Like, if I actively went out of my way to do that, then yes. But there's times where something like that may not be actually what happened, or, you know, and people will get got these days. And that's what she's saying. And the other woman is just like, I like that terror. Yo, what?
How to do dating and all of that without the terror that if you touch in the wrong place at the wrong time, you may find that your whole life is destroyed.
See, I
and there
like
is
that
far
terror.
too much.
He said, what?
I like that.
As a
I
mother
think
of
Yo,
a teenage
look
boy,
at his
I
face.
don't-
I
mother
think
of
that
a
men
teenage
should be
boy, I
frightened.
don't.
I think everybody
What?
should be frightened then. I think that everybody should be frightened. And that's the thing. You like that terror because it puts you in a position when you are the handicap and you're the one on the top.
I think men
Now,
should
all
be
these people are
frightened.
handicapped,
That's a
you're gonna
weird
abuse of your
statement
power.
for no reason.
You know how I know? Because it's happening right now. Yeah, y'all permitting yourself to do stuff, and I have to tell women to not do stuff that they feel really willy-nilly to do. They really don't care. I was on tour. You take pictures with people, the ladies will put their hands on your bum. and be calling you all sorts of things. They will freely want to do that. On tour and off tour. Men have a sense of fear now. Cool, where's your sense of fear now? Because you do the same thing. Man, girl, if you don't get the fuck out of here.
So you guys
Facts.
these hyper feminists, they want you to be afraid.
Yeah.
They want you terrified.
They want the power.
This whole idea that, you know, is there space for men in our...
There isn't.
There isn't. There is. It's beneath them.
But
That's how it works.
you said one shit one day that was nice. You don't want allies, you want servitude. You said that, and that's exactly what
allyship is nonsense.
Yeah, that's not what you want. You don't want an ally. You want servitude. You want men to be in position with you, but you want them scared, and you want them as servants. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Really?
What up, Slanda?
I
That's the
do.
malicious thing I've ever
That
heard.
is
I
awful.
think that men
He
should
said,
be
yo,
frightened.
this man's whole demeanor changed. He's like, wait, what did you just say, lady? Yo.
Yeah.
Really?
That's the
Terror.
I
most
do.
malicious thing I've ever
That
heard.
is
I think that
awful.
men should be frightened
I think
to
you'd
touch
feel
women in a way
differently
that
if you
they're
were-
not
if you
comfortable
were-
with.
But that's not what she's talking about. When
That's
she
not
said,
what she's talking about.
Yeah,
Men are
that's a
afraid
whole
of-
different story. If you're talking about guys that are doing something that they shouldn't be doing, that's a whole nother story.
we don't know what's right or what's wrong. It's not always nearly as obvious. And she's specifically talking about young teenage men.
Yeah, she's
They're
been very
ones that-
specific.
The ones in development, the ones who have the least amount of social interaction, the least amount of engagement. All they see online is how terrifying the consequence could be if they do the wrong thing with ladies. You know, and these young boys are sexless. The young teenagers, these young folks in general, are getting intimacy a lot less. Now you could say it's a good or a bad thing, but the whole point is they're having less of this social engagement with the opposite sex at young age. How do you think that carries over to the older years in terms of development if they didn't have that shit early on either? So you got to understand what that fear does. I don't know why should fear be the thing governing how our social interactions go?
Because you women are your women are afraid now.
See, I agree with him that like you don't like fear shouldn't be how our social interactions are governed. I totally agree with that. However, I feel like that really is life though, right? Like it's tough. Okay. It's hard to say that that's life because it's not, right? Like okay. I guess what I'm trying to get at is I feel like we have laws in place to stop people from doing certain things so they create consequences, which in sense is a fear, right? Like you might be like, yo, I want to punch this person in the face, but I have fear of the consequence that will come with it. Or, right? Is that right? I assume that would be a fear. I don't know. Right? Like I'd like to think like when I go places, I don't want to steal things. I don't have these urges to want to do these things. So then you wonder like, why is there a law in place to not steal if people don't normally, because there are people that do want to steal, I guess. Okay. I guess I'm just trying to understand, because I agree with him, but I always just want, like, you know, I always think of things like we have laws and all these things in place to try to keep people in this societal standard that works and fits and it allows everybody to function and us to do what we do the way that we do it. However, it's like if there was no law, obviously shit gets chaotic, which in my opinion means that to an extent the laws are there to kind of scare us into this. No, right? I don't have enough. I've not read or I don't have enough thoughts on this to really have like an actual opinion. But I just think that that's an interesting concept because I think there's a lot of people that just naturally follow things. I guess that the law is really there for the people that fall outside of what you would consider the norm or the standard, the people that want to get along with everybody, that don't want to steal, that don't want to rob, that don't want to kill people, they want to just find a way to function amongst each other and make this all work. I guess that is the you know, you hope is the average, and then because there's other people that do have these other intentions that you set these laws in place. I don't know. It's really interesting. Really interesting. But I agree with him. I don't know.
To walk in the street.
I don't go around slapping other dudes, not because I'm afraid. I don't do it because I think it's the wrong thing to do. Right? I've had the chance.
Right, but if there's a situation where you get upset to the point where you feel like I want to slap this dude, then it's the fear of I may get in trouble that stops you. Especially if you think I could beat this dude's ass. I have no worries about that. It becomes oh no, but if I do this, I'm gonna have the cops called on me, right? So I mean, you don't want to just slap someone for no reason, but right?
To learn, I don't want to be aggressive towards people. I'm cognizant of what it means. You get me what I say? Being motivated by fear just sounds like if I had enough power and I was big enough, I would.
Okay, motivated by fear, I agree. That's not accurate. Yeah. Okay.
Ideally, people are not engaging in certain behaviors for reasons other than fear. I would hope, but maybe you feel different.
And the thing that happened is that you are in fear. That's what you're saying.
I agree with him. I'm going to reiterate real quick because it makes it sound like I'm saying, bro, if there was no laws, I'd be wilding out here. And that's not what I'm saying at all. Because I don't want to do any of these things either. But obviously, like if someone were to really piss me out, like they stole something, did something to a family member of mine, I might want to punch you in the face, but I may not do that because I know that I can get in trouble. And I don't know that I'm in fear of it, but I guess I just know that the consequence is there. So I look at it kind of like that, but I get it from both sides.
Women say that often. That
Yeah, two people can be right at the same time. I agree.
Is that a good thing? If you confirm it by fear.
Among
that's
Us
a good
VR
thing.
is going to
So
be
you know your
interesting,
place.
Spider.
You know when to talk. You know what to do. No, it's not.
But we're talking about
Yeah, but we're not talking about. We're
children.
not talking about.
We're talking
yeah, but
about
it's an
young
interesting
children.
thing that you see. I would say that attitude actually is part of the problem too. That's to me toxic femininity.
It is.
That is saying you should all be terrified, you men, if you put one.
Of assaulting.
Well, I think we all understand what sexual
What is
assault
an
is.
assault?
What Isabel's talking about is that young teenage clumsiness
really
in many
hard.
cases, which is now being recategorized.
I agree with him on this. It goes both ways, right? Because there is the young boy, the clumsy, that I'm not used to the interactions. I'm not 100% is a thing. I remember being a kid and I was super, it wasn't so much that I thought I'm going to get in trouble, but I was just super worried because I'm just like, I don't know what is the right thing to do, the move, the play, whatever the case is.
Categorized as assault. It's always been assault. It's just we're finally talking about it.
I don't agree with that.
That's
But
ridiculous.
Teenage boy fumbling with
touch
teenage
on the
girl is
knee.
not,
Not
it's
even
not
that.
in most cases assault, is
Do
it?
you remember Aziz Ansari, right? Half the heels of metoo, half the heels of Harvey Weinstein rightly being dragged through the courts, and it should have got way worse than just prison time, in my opinion. Aziz Ansari had a consensual relationship with him. She felt a bit awkward, and afterwards rescinded consent, and he was lumped in, and he had his
No, I'm
career
with you on that one.
cancelled.
That's a great example.
Oh, that was a great example. I forgot about that. Aziz Ansari had an interaction with a woman that was consensual. And then after the fact, like a day or a couple days or whatever later, she decided, you know what? I've now decided that I don't really feel like I didn't want to give consent. Like, yo, and then he got dragged for that. That's wild to me. These are the situations that are problems. The situations where people actually do something wrong, they should be dragged even more than they already are dragged. But these are the situations that become an issue when there's something clearly that is not being done.
See? She's saying it was always, well, no, we've literally stretched the definition to mean a lot of things that aren't. I've literally heard someone get yelled at and she said, you're being sexually, I'm like, what? He didn't even touch you. How could somebody, and people were running with it. And I was like, confused. I'm like, did we just change the definition overnight?
Yes, we did.
We've been stretching this shit for like discomfort. I'm like, what? So you got to understand, there's a lot of confusion in regards to this stuff, especially for young folks.
I'm with
So
you.
then why should men be afraid of that?
Because he didn't touch her without consent, did he?
No, but she
But
rescinded his consent, and
how are
she
young
saw
boys
that then
supposed to
as the same
navigate
thing.
this, the whole
Yeah, I
thing?
agree.
I'm thinking
Well, you
of
need
my
to have-
teenage son. You know, he's 14, 15. What's he supposed to say? Would you mind if I put
Isabel,
my
you are an
hand and then
extremely
come
strong
on,
woman. I
come
know
on.
in your house you're teaching them the difference between assault and then coming on to someone.
But
I know you are.
But what we're talking about is it's been very interesting watching the Me Too movement.
This woman in the
and
middle
Time's
is
Up
mad.
movement, how it's all
Like,
developed.
mad like
a lot
crazy
of very
mad.
bad people, Harvey Weinstein and others, got their due comeuppance. We can all agree with that.
Yeah.
This is not even something to be debated. We're really talking about the grey line, right? Where is that grey line? How do you navigate it? When you're an experienced adult and you've been around the block in many ways, you can navigate that much more intelligently and with emotional intelligence than you can if you're a teenage boy. And I think the point Isabel makes is a good one. I've had 3 sons in their 20s. I've always taught them to be respectful to women. I believe they are. But I do think it's really hard for a 16, 17-year-old boy now in this environment to know even how to start
they are all
having kind of some
terrified.
kind of physical relationship with a woman.
Those good boys are all terrified. I know that from talking to my son. He's just like, I'm just not going there. Is that healthy?
Yes, I think it is actually. I think it's better to not have a physical relationship than to have one that could ruin a woman's life.
Yo, oh my God, someone get rid of this woman. Someone get rid of this woman. So she's just like, I feel like the woman is saying she's sad because her son, she doesn't want her son to be like, well, I'm not even going to hang out with women. I'm not going to, because I just don't want to risk it. I don't want to, because I don't know what, and then she's like, that's good. He should feel that way. He should feel that way. He should not.
They are all
having
terrified.
kind of some kind of physical relationship with a woman.
Those good boys are all terrified. I know that from talking to my son. He's just like, I'm just not going there. Is that healthy?
Yes, I think it is actually.
She thinks it's healthy for a teenage boy to be scared to hang out with a girl because even if he has no bad intentions, he's just like, I like her. I want to get to know her. I want to talk to her. Maybe one day she'll kiss me. Oh my God, I'm so excited. But I'm scared to death that I'm going to get in trouble. So I'm going to avoid interactions with other human beings. And she's like, yeah, I think that's healthy. What? This is like traumatizing. What are you talking about? Oh my God. God just said, my mate has been through false allegations that ruined his life, was proven fake, and the woman in question got nothing at all. Yeah, and that's another thing. People say this shit, and then when it's proven that you lied, you don't get in trouble. I feel like if you're proven that you lied, you should get in the same trouble that he could have gotten. That's how I feel. That's crazy to me. They need to do something to deter that because that's wild. And on top of that, your life ends up being ruined because let's just say that it ends up being in the paper or somehow it just gets out or word of mouth spreads, right? Once you get proven to be innocent, that same word of mouth, it doesn't reach every single person again, right? It might reach 50 to 60% of the people that initially heard that you did it. So now there's still a portion of people that still look at you a certain way. Because you're not a celebrity, so it's not going to be on TV. Even when it is, people still look at that celebrity like, no, they're a celebrity. That's why they got away with it. And you know, that could possibly be a thing, but it also could be that the person lied. And now it's like, it is what it is. So it's weird. There's certain things that when you get accused of, I feel like it should never be made public in any type of way. And the person that is accusing you shouldn't be able to tell anybody, or they should be able to get in trouble, so on and so until everything is figured out. I get the investigation may include other people and questioning them, and what I'm saying is probably not the most functional way, and I'm sure it doesn't work like that. But there's got to be some way of doing this that just makes more sense. This is mind blowing to me that she is saying that it's healthy for a teenage boy to be scared of hanging out with girls, even if he has no bad intentions, just because he might get in trouble for something he didn't even want to do, mean to do, doesn't have any plans of doing, but just because. Like she kisses him and then decides the next morning she didn't want to kiss him and now he's in trouble. Like that's crazy that you think that that's healthy.
I think it's better to not have a physical relationship than to have one that could ruin a woman's life.
But then how do they ever start?
But you're ruining the man's life by
No,
Sure.
don't.
Don't.
What are you
What are you going to have? A bunch of mutant boys who never
It's
had...
so obvious.
We actually do have.
Don't. So this is the kind of stupid,
I'm so thrown.
unrealistic sex ed talk that we've had for a long time. Don't want to get pregnant? Don't have sex. Don't want to get pregnant? Everyone just don't use a condom. I mean, we think everything's solved. Guys, you have to understand how people function. There's how things should be and there's how things are, not how you want them to be. Because I can want a lot of things. I can want everyone to recycle tomorrow because it's really not that difficult. Guess what? Motherfuckers will not recycle. No matter how much you yell, no matter how much you put ads out, they're not going to recycle. That's going to happen. So we got to think about how society actually functions. It's not enough to say, don't. And if you don't know how, don't ever do it. People still gonna fuck. They still gonna get intimate. They're gonna drink. They're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna get involved. They're gonna get involved with the wrong people under the wrong circumstances. So what do we do in those circumstances? And her response is, don't. You should be terrified. Understand why these kind of people are never going to offer real solutions for our society because they're too busy idealizing a world that doesn't exist based off parameters that are not real. Yes, nobody should speed. People still do. Nobody should break traffic rules. People still do. Either to negligence, either to inattention, either to being compromised. So what do? They tell you to be vigilant on the road. Why? Because even with all those measures in place, all these rules, everybody knowing them, people still fuck things up. People still are impulsive. You got to understand human nature and what it is. So you're talking about hormonal teenagers.
Listen, I feel like that's the greatest lesson that you could ever teach anybody. Understand human nature. First and foremost, before everything, understand human nature and the differences and the intricacies amongst us, because that is going to help you out more than all these little black and white fucking rules that you can learn. I'm going to be live on YouTube probably by like 7:30.
Women flirting with them, and you think they're all
potentially a little bit sooner. We'll see.
To not engage in it until they're ready. That's not realistic. This is. I don't know. Maybe she's just never been a teenager, or maybe she's just like, oh, fuck. As an adult, bitch, have you never been a teenager? Like, who thinks that deeply, really? So I don't know. I would just hope people rethink this kind of rhetoric instead of thinking about what should be. how things are and how we can improve them realistically.
That Gen Z is having far less sexual relationships
Yes,
than any
they
ever before.
are. It's true.
And
young
hang
people
on.
have stopped having sex.
I agree with the first part of your sentence, actually. If you're not willing to have a sexual relationship with clearly defined lines, don't have one. And so I actually told my mates at university, don't sleep around with girls. One, girls don't bring a guy home that you don't know what he's capable of.
Man, look at this fucking square, bro. Here's the conservative talking points talking about, well, according to the laws, listen, bro, somebody here trying to get pussy. Don't be out here telling me not to get laid.
We're gonna talk about.
He's
some
like,
motherfuckers
listen,
not
someone trying to
dick.
get some
The thing
cheeks,
is,
bro.
trying to get
It's
dick.
just what it
I'm
is.
talking about girls.
Hey, yo.
It's just what it is.
We're gonna talk about some of them girls don't want to get dick. Really,
Hey,
them
yo.
girls are trying to get dick too. And that's the thing. We always talk about this rhetoric where it's always man wanting pussy. Women want dick too. They actually do. Yeah, they go in there, they want dick, and they want to slap on
He's
that
like,
knob.
yeah,
They do.
yeah.
All right. We always think that they never do in the home they shouldn't. Yeah, they do. They want some dick.
Talk to
them.
them.
Girl wants some dick, and that's the thing. Is that
Yo,
they want
I'm
some dick, and
dying.
at some point, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have the dick that I had last night, and they feel regret, and they might, and it happened numerous times that they claim something before something else. Yeah.
Yo, you know what's not fair? How come we don't get to do that? I'm just saying, listen, again, we're talking about obviously situations where people are just being fucking weird about shit and nothing actually happened. But why can't I do that, right? Like, guys have situations where they may sleep with a woman and then afterwards, it may not even be the next day. It might be the moment after. And you're like, damn, bro, why'd I do that? I shouldn't have done that. I don't know why I slept with her, right? Imagine if we started to go to the police like, yo, listen, she took advantage of me. I didn't want to do that. I didn't feel like doing it. Yo, like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit happens to us. There's plenty of times I've been like, yo, that was a mistake. Shouldn't have done that. I don't get to run anywhere and fucking ruin your life over it.
Let's not act like it's just men out there want a dick. Men out there want a dick. Men out there.
Whoa!
Let's not.
Hey, yo!
Let's not go.
He said it the wrong way. Yo. I didn't realize what he was saying. Oh my God. Yo, that's amazing. Shut up. Abba said, hey, yo.
That's 2 strikes, nigga.
No, that's one strike.
That's 2
The
strikes.
first
in one
strike,
video.
the first strike, you make it up.
No, I didn't
That's
make it
right.
up. I didn't make it up.
Yeah.
Hey, audience, you decide. Is that 1 or 2 strikes?
No,
put
just
his number in.
Run it back. Run it back the first
Yeah.
time.
They got ears. They
Okay,
got the
cool.
record
Anyway,
button.
Let's not. We always have this rhetoric when it's always men wanting pussy and men going after pussy. I know some very
Let's go.
girls are going after dick.
1, girls don't bring a guy home that you don't know what he's capable of. 2, guys don't bring a girl home if you think that possibly she could have a false accusation against you.
You can't. It doesn't work.
You
like
have
this.
no
Shut up.
idea. There's
You
no
two.
telling.
Boy,
There's no telling.
I was on your team, but even you, it don't work like that.
That's like in this video saying, don't marry a girl if you think she's gonna divorce you.
It doesn't
Yeah,
work like
yeah,
that.
it doesn't, yeah.
When motherfuckers are in the mood, they have a different mindset of when they're not in the mood. Stop.
But even if you're not in the mood, you're not going to be able to always differentiate, oh, this is the person that's going to sleep with me and then pretend that I did something wrong. You have no way of telling that. The same, like, that's the thing. There's no person that's ever married. I mean, listen, if you married somebody and you're like, this person is probably going to divorce me and it happened, well, that shit's on you. But I feel like that does not happen. There's no way you can really just gauge that this is what's going to go down. There are times where you just know, like, okay, this person, it's a little crazy. And at that point, stay away. But you don't know that it actually means that specific situation still. You just know something seems a little fishy.
That's why you take your prenup before you get divorced or before you get married. Not when the shit goes down. Shit.
Think that possibly she could have a false accusation against you.
Can I make another point here? Which
Which I
think-
find, I mean, look, that
What?
sentence to me, when I was your age, right? How old are you?
23.
23.
Oh, okay.
That 23-year-old choir boy. Come on, bruh.
When I was your age, the idea you would even have that sort of thought process.
Yeah, I
would
wouldn't
be
have those sort of
unthinkable.
mates that would ever cross the line, so I wouldn't have to have that
I never
conversation
said my
with any
mates.
of my friends.
Don't throw my mates in with a bunch of violent people.
And is there
She basically said, like, I wouldn't hang around with dudes who go in sexual. Like, who said they do that? Where's this leak that this
wild.
bitch is making? I wouldn't hang around with people who. Whoa!
That's not even a conversation. So why am I so? I wouldn't even talk to you.
People are wild, man.
That's okay.
Crazy.
When you're arguing with people, at some point you have to understand what their thought process is and what they're trying to achieve, and what is
Yes.
this right here.
Exactly.
I can't talk to you.
Nope.
I can't have a conversation with you. Why? Because you're being dishonest. Every turning point that I'm saying, you're not even trying to understand. Because my point, whenever I go argue with someone, is not that you understand exactly what I say. It's that you understand where I'm coming from, or you agree with everything I say. No, it's not possible to agree with everything I say. It's fine. It's fine. I want you to understand my perspective. But you, right now, what she's doing, you're just throwing shit and throwing shit. You're just wild punching at everything I say. You're going left and right and disrupting the conversation and the axis of the conversation. That's what you're doing, my girl. So I can no longer have a conversation with you.
Is there a certain purity here I'm detecting in a certain type of feminist who thinks that they're all unimpeachable and that this is all one-way traffic and that only men can be toxic?
No, I
Because
don't
I've
think
got to
that.
enlighten you. I've met quite a few women in my life who are pretty toxic themselves, and I don't see the
Absolutely.
debate being
Yep.
framed around that at all.
Been there.
Can I ask you this? If you were going to take someone to bed and you weren't 100% sure that they wanted to go to bed with you, would you go with
No,
them?
I would not do that.
Then
But the
that's what
point
I'm
was,
talking
Aziz
about.
Ansari was sure, for example, and then later she went and published a long piece
Right.
about how she regretted it and lumped him in with Harvey Weinstein.
I mean,
Is that okay?
Ava,
Ava, do you
women-
feel any of it, Ava's gone too far? Do you think the pendulum has gone too far at all?
No, I don't think it's gone far.
How did he just give you an Aziz Ansari example of a girl after the fact deciding that she, I wish I didn't do it now, so I'm gonna now say that he's like Harvey Weinstein. How you just agreed that was wrong, but then you say that you don't think that it's gone overboard. That example is the perfect example of it going overboard. What are you talking about, lady?
So he have Aziz Ansari losing his whole career. Pretty much, he's dead in the water.
Thank you.
You haven't heard much about him since, okay? And she admits that
Thank
that was
you.
unfair. Then when he asks,
Thank
has
you.
anything gone too far? She says no. Girl, if you don't just get the fuck up out of here with your bullshit, god damn. Something about feminists just smells like period blood.
What?
Goddamn
What?
Out of here.
Yo, preach
fuck
like,
up
what
in the
the
core.
fuck did you just say?
Get the fuck up out of here. What?
I don't know what the fuck you just said.
I said, get the fuck up in the core. And get the fuck up out of here.
All right, cool.
Okay?
He's like, I don't know what's going on.
I mean, something about feminists and period blood and jars. You know what I mean? Yeah, and unshaven armpits, you know what I'm saying? And profile pronouns.
This is
It
why
comes with the starter pack. We know.
a two-person YouTube channel is so fucking epic, because you could play off each other like that.
Carry on.
I mean, that's pretty much.
No, yeah. Thank God that's the end because I can watch more. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and then
whatever.
there's no
having a conversation with this. It was not insightful at all because she's just stuck in her little box and wants to talk about only what she's talking about. Even if there's a subject that is brought up to her, she just wants to talk about her little things and her little. Oh, no, that's my exception and that exception and that. Whatever.
I'm gonna say this though.
Say it.
I know there's a lot of women who are fighting against this kind of rhetoric more and more. People who be like, I don't identify with this. This shit don't represent
Especially
me.
in the
this,
UK.
This shit kind of crazy. And to you ladies out there who recognize how crazy this shit is and you guys voice
out
it,
to you.
we appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't think I don't notice. Don't think I don't notice. You know what I mean? You one of the good ones. Come on in here. All right?
Anyways.
I know it's good to know. It's good to know. I do think this kind of
Anyways, yo, I love these dudes' videos, man. This was a good one. I didn't realize how long this was actually gonna be, but that's wild, bro. I want men to be scared. I just don't understand some of this shit, man. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's just like people having a vendetta out for people that are not doing anything wrong because of people that have done stuff wrong is just really weird to me. It's really weird to me.